This is the Farm Monitor. For over 50 years, your source for agribusiness news and features from around the Southeast and across the country, focusing on one of the nation's top industries, agriculture. The Farm Monitor is produced by one of the largest general farm organizations, the Georgia Farm Bureau. Now here are your hosts, Ray DeLessio and Kenny Bergamy.
Hi there, good to see you again. As always, cannot thank you enough for taking the time to spend the next 30 minutes with us. Obviously, Ray, MIA from the studio, but not entirely from the show. He joins us now from his home in Henry County as we continue to abide by social distancing guidelines. Hey, Ray.
Oh yeah, Kenny, we get all the essentials here. Camera, laptop, some diesel fuel, extra caffeinated, of course. This episode, though, not all fun and games. Our hearts still with those who lost so much during that recent tornado outbreak in the early morning hours after Easter, especially in North Georgia, Murray County in particular. John Holcomb spoke to farmers and producers who are literally still picking up the pieces. Also, COVID-19 still a huge concern for many Americans. So much uncertainty as to when things will return to normal. Until then, Georgia 4-H making the best of the situation by rolling out a new program that involves virtual learning. Plus, her mission since day one has been to rescue and rehabilitate animals and critters from all walks of life. Some even appearing in feature films to help facilitate the healing process. But with COVID-19 blocking her income, all of Nicole's hopes and dreams could be shattered forever. These stories and so much more starting right now on the Farm Monitor.
All right, Ray, thanks so much. We'll see you in just a few minutes. Without a doubt, 2020 is turning out to be a challenging year for agriculture. Low commodity prices, COVID-19, and then a major tornado outbreak in the early morning hours of April 13th that caused severe damage to numerous parts of Georgia, especially in Murray County, as John Holcomb reports.
Easter Sunday is supposed to be a day of celebration, but in the Southeast, though it may have been a celebration during the day, things changed in an instant and people's lives were forever changed due to storms raging across the Southeast. And in those storms, tornadoes that ripped off roofs, broke trees in half, and left anything in its path in ruins, as you can tell from these pictures from a local photographer, Scott Kuhn. That was sadly the case here at the Pritchett farm, as a tornado destroyed their chicken houses.
We received an alarm that didn't state what the problem was, just that we had a problem here. So news that we'd seen said the storm was over, so we came to check our alarm and got down here, and of course everything was fine, and we reset our alarm, started back toward the other farm and received another alarm. So when we got the second alarm, we was just about 2 miles up the road. We turned and came back.
Upon arriving back to the houses the second time, a tornado came through and ended up flipping over the truck they were in. And after they eventually got out and found cover, the tornado had ripped apart their chicken houses, leaving years of hard work in pieces and their future very uncertain.
We're going to be fine whatever ends up happening. Kind of uncertain really at this point, but we'd like to rebuild. We still got 4 other houses, and we'd like to rebuild and be back to the point where we was at. But we'll just have to kind of wait and see what happens, I guess, and see what we can do.
The storms didn't discriminate on just poultry, though, as this cattle operation had thousands of feet of fencing down, trees snapped like they were toothpicks, and sadly, even lost some of their cattle in the storm.
We're probably going to put up another 6,000 feet of fence just to get it back to where it was. Obviously, all the trees that we lost, there's not a lot of shade left over on this side of the property for cattle, especially with it fenced off with a temporary. So far, I think we've found about 8 dead cows, but I mean, it's so mangled. I mean, it's hard to get in there and find everything. And I think right now we're probably 10 or 12 unaccounted for and really don't know where they're at.
But even in the midst of this devastation, like true farmers, they're still optimistic and are ready to pick up the pieces and press on, and are just thankful that everything that was damaged can be replaced.
Every day's a challenge with a farmer, and we, it's just part of this lifestyle. You just face those challenges, and you just work right through whatever happens. Most time you don't know what your income's going to be, you don't know what your expense is going to be, and you just kind of learn to adapt to that and just face it and carry right on. And that's what we'll do now. We'll just carry on. We don't know we don't know exactly what the future's going to be, but we know we're going to be okay.
What we lost, the fences, the cattle, and the big mess, all the trees down, it's bad. But the fences can be put back up, cattle can be replaced, and we're just very fortunate that nobody was hurt during all this.
Reporting in Chatsworth for the Farm Monitor, I'm John Holcomb.
Meantime, take a look at these images captured by the Farm Monitor drone. This was on a portion of the Rock Ranch in Upson County. Large trees and debris scattered everywhere. According to the National Weather Service, this was an EF3 tornado. They measured 1,200 yards wide and carved a path nearly 17 miles long.
On our property here at the Rock Ranch, it went across the back of the property, so thankfully all of our animals and all of our people and all the activities areas are fine, but it did go right across, and we lost between 1,000 and 1,500 trees is my best guess. It may be more than that, but tons of huge trees, one beautiful area of hardwoods with some 200-year-old white oaks.
In other news and notes, Georgia Farm Bureau leaders are applauding USDA's new $19 billion coronavirus food assistance program. In summary, $16 billion will go directly to farmers, ranchers, and other producers. USDA also planning to buy $3 billion of fresh produce, dairy, and meat. Complete details of the program can be found by logging on to USDA.gov. It's also on the Farm Monitor Facebook page. Naturally, the coronavirus is still a major concern for a lot of people. Ray joins us again. And Ray, if there's one thing the virus has done, it has really forced people and organizations to get creative and think outside the box.
Yeah, Kenny, it certainly has. I mean, case in point, broadcasting from our home, that is definitely a first in Farm Monitor history. Georgia 4-H, no exception either. Even though school districts are shut down, the learning has not stopped for students. Damon Jones on how the plugged into 4-H system works and how you can get your kids involved.
Well, with most after-school activities being canceled, students are now looking for new and fun ways to fill their time during this pandemic. And that's exactly what 4-H is trying to provide with their new virtual learning program, which requires just a computer to receive informative and interesting lessons on a daily basis.
Each day would focus on a different topic, and then they would have activities that they can do, just things that they can stay busy and stay learning. Basically anyone from 5 years old to 18 years old can find something in our lessons and in the emails that they can participate in and learn something from.
And those lessons aren't just informative, but also entertaining for the kids. And best of all, the activities can be done with simple things you can just find laying around the house.
I've definitely tried to make my lessons more interactive because I know that these kids are probably just dying to do something fun, tired of doing like the traditional classwork that they're probably getting sent home. So just trying to make them as fun as possible with limited materials, things that they can just get at home, they don't have to go to the store for.
While providing a new lesson every day isn't easy, it is all made possible because of the collaboration between numerous county extension offices around the state.
You collaborate, you work together, and I think it's so important, especially right now that we have all program areas, VAX agents, ag agents, and 4-H agents working together to put these programs together, these lessons, and I think this wouldn't have been successful at all if we wouldn't have worked together.
While this program is designed primarily for the students, parents are encouraged to make it a family activity.
This activity isn't just for 4-H youth. Of course, adults are helping their children become involved with this, but there are some adult followers who are involved, and through their involvement, they're actually learning more about 4-H and the different activities that we're promoting.
Non-4-H students are also encouraged to sign up, as many of them are looking for things to do after having their extracurricular activities canceled.
Traditionally some kids say, I don't have time to be in other activities like 4-H because I'm into sports and I'm into other things. But, at a time like this, everyone's at home. They're not doing anything else. So I think it's a great opportunity for us to expose kids to really what 4-H is and hopefully encourage more involvement whenever they do come back to school.
As for how to sign up for the program, all it takes is a few clicks of the mouse.
We created a registration using Eventbrite, and so all they have to do is go into eventbrite.com and look for Plugged into 4-H, and there's a registration form, and that registration online will basically sign them up so that way they can receive our daily email blast.
Reporting from Greene County, I'm Damon Jones for the Farm Monitor.
All right, Damon, great job. Well, when we come back, she's trained and cared for some of TV and film's most recognizable animal actors. Her farm located right here in Georgia. And her story, one that may have you reaching for the tissue box. Stay tuned. All right, Ray DeLessio self-isolating as we continue here on the Farm Monitor. While studying animal and dairy science at Mississippi State University, Newton County's Nicole Kanoy managed a dairy farm. And what she quickly found out is that on that 3,000-acre farm, there were other creatures besides cows that required her attention. Things like skunks, snakes, ferrets, wolves, you name it, and Nicole brought it back to her one-bedroom house to care for it. Well, that type of compassion and the compassion to help both children and adults led her to where she is at today. Owner and founder of the nonprofit Wildlife Critters Circle of Life Rehabilitation Center. Remember that assignment in grade school? You know the one. When I grow up, I want to be blank. As a little girl in Jacksonville Beach, Florida, Nicole Kanoy had big dreams and aspirations. And when I say big, I mean literally big.
I wanted to be a bear trainer. I was really lucky to, when I was about 4 years old, I lost a dog that I had named Skeeter. And my parents took me to a rescue animal park, and I picked out a wolf pup that I got when I was 4. And my dad worked at a reptile farm, and so we always had snakes. And so when he was tilling the garden, I was going behind and catching all the snakes and making National Geographic shows out of caterpillars and everything I could do. So the name of the nonprofit is Wildlife Critters Circle of Life. I am well aware of the circle and how animals were made and which ones are the prey and which ones are the predator. And it's amazing that animals have no judgment. And so for children and adults and different people make mistakes, but when they come in front of an animal, the animal doesn't see any mistakes. They see perfection. And when somebody reaches out their hand and they feel loved, then it's a way to bring people and animals together. And I've known that was my purpose since I was about 16 years old.
And watching her interact with the animals, one could say with 100% certainty that Nicole indeed chose the right career path. Her heart is full. And given the variety of animals on the farm, you also quickly realize she has a hard time saying no.
I normally do native and exotics, but I end up taking in domestic and farm animals just because it's really hard to say no when they're in certain situations. We fix everything on the farm, but I actually have a breeding pair of goats because it came from a suicide problem. And the mom that brought them to me said, you know, this is what my daughter did and I want her legacy to move on. If I donate these to you, will you please keep them as husband and wife? And these are some goats and I love them. It's Dozer and Pandora. And I was like, of course I will. So now we have baby goats, which it helps bring in feed for the other animals. So I love it. I welcome every challenge that comes to me. And we have a big variety, camels and donkeys and hedgehogs and snakes and tortoises and all kinds of things.
But like so many animal rescue centers that provide therapy for animals and humans, funding is always a challenge. One way in which Nicole has been able to support both farm and family is through the film and TV industry. Her animal trainer credit's impressive and includes some pretty big productions. The Aflac duck commercials, Game of Thrones, Vampire Diaries, the list goes on.
My whole purpose of rescuing these animals is to let them feel loved and needed, and now these animals that can't be released get to be movie stars. And the training that goes into it is all positive training. It's all fun for them. We use treats and sounds and natural behaviors and nothing negative, and they love it. And if they don't like it, then they don't do it. But what that's allowed is the income that the animals bring in. So the way the movie industry works for an animal wrangler is the animals get a portion and the trainer gets a portion. So I've been able to help their lifestyle and building up a facility for them that has blessed all of us.
Unfortunately for Nicole, the film and TV industry doesn't fall under the essential business category. Neither do weddings, birthday parties, or educational programs. COVID-19 shut them all down, meaning Nicole's income is also shut down indefinitely. And with no income, she's had to rely on donations to help keep the nonprofit running. That includes feeding and taking care of all 170 animals.
Anything that we do with the animals that bring in to feed them and care for them, we've lost. Every day I'm like, okay, there is a reason that I was put in charge of this and I'm gonna figure it out. It's scary and I try to have no fear. A lot of being an exotic animal trainer is, not having fear in anything that we do and trusting your knowledge, what you know and who you are. And I know that I was put in charge of these animals for a reason, and I'm going to continue doing whatever I can to provide a home for them and food. And it's scary. But I know it's going to work. I know I'll figure it out. I've got a lot of volunteers and my children, and it takes a zoo to run the zoo, and we all have to be dedicated 100% of the time.
Yeah, it's certainly an amazing place and all kinds of unique animals and critters. I even have a new respect for possums now, if you can believe that. Well, if you'd like more information on Wildlife Critter Circle of Life or how to contact Nicole, just fire up that laptop, tablet, even a phone. There's the address on your screen. That's WLCritters.com. Nicole, like so many others, searching for answers during this unprecedented time. All right, switching gears. Buckle up and brace yourself, because up next, it's Mr. Enthusiasm.
Well, coming up after the break, we're making sure that we keep contaminants out of a well and making sure that we pour some concrete around it to keep that water safe. Come on back with us. We'll see you in a minute.
Finally this week, COVID-19 no match for Ranger Nick's enthusiasm. Fortunately for him, he was able to rub elbows with a couple of 4-H'ers and learn all about drinking wells before social distancing and shelter in place became the norm.
Well, you're looking high above where we're working right now in Wrightsville, Georgia, and I'm going to be joined this month by a good friend and former student of mine, Mr. Rocky Tanner. Rocky, so good to see you. Rocky is, I appreciate you doing it. Rocky is the County Extension Coordinator and the Ag Agent down here in Johnson County, Georgia. And Rocky and I got together not too long ago to learn about a local problem. And a couple of things going on with what we're looking at here. Rocky, we're looking at a well, and specifically well casing. And Rocky, you shared with me something that's going on with this that got your attention in your formal life working in the health industry.
That's right. So with 15 years in public health, as we went out and tested and approved wells or certified wells for loan closings, I noticed that a lot of times there were issues with older wells, whether it was originally a farm well and now a home hooked to it, or just in general wells that were older and maybe not put in under code, or noticed a lot of times that the well around the well casing would be settled in.
And this is the casing right here?
This is the casing right
Okay.
here. And a normal residential well is usually a 4-inch well like this.
Okay.
And this casing extends down into the ground 100 foot, 200 foot, wherever it is to get to a good water source. And then the pump is down in the ground 150, 200 feet deep, just depending on the depth.
Okay.
This casing, newer ones, of course, are made out of PVC. Older ones used to be made out of iron.
Wow. Okay.
Galvanized or what they call black iron pipe. But a lot of times after it was dug and then this casing was set and the pump set down, it would settle. And then every time it rained, you would have water that followed that casing straight down to the drinking water.
So think about that. I mean, that's if fertilizer's on the ground, that's if contaminants are there, that's whatever's on the ground. That water is following this pipe down into the aquifer under the ground and into your drinking water. So, Rocky, you realized this problem. And then you thought to yourself, because of your passion for 4-H and FFA, and we love both of those coming together, you thought, how do you involve kids in this? What I'd love to do today for the folks at home, I'd love to be one of these 4-H'ers with Rocky. And Rocky, you show me the skills that you're teaching those kids to deal with this problem. So let's go there next. All right, so Rocky, I'm a 4-H'er, always have been. We've got Elizabeth and Jonathan with us today, 4-H'ers as well. We're out here pouring this concrete in and making sure this guy goes around this well casing that you were mentioning. That is a problem as that water infiltrates in. We're involved in the cement and the mixing and the pouring. What else do you got us 4-H'ers doing as we're prepping this?
All right.
Besides working our tails off. Come on.
So, well, I actually used it as a teaching moment on how to work with tools.
Yeah.
It was the original idea.
Okay.
I noticed kids didn't know the difference between maybe a ball peen hammer and a claw hammer, or how to use a shovel or a hoe, or even how to identify them.
Okay.
So I used the need that we had in the community for protecting the wells, and just used the kids and use it as a teaching tool to teach them about, I guess, how to work. I don't know if that's a correct term, teach somebody how to work.
And we call those career-ready skills, soft skills, these things that students are needing. They're not getting in school other than maybe an ag class or through 4-H, and they're getting skills not only in this manual labor, but then what about measuring off this frame, this 2x4 frame? Did they do that too?
They do. They do. Actually, they do everything but the cutting. I've not let any of them use a saw yet.
Okay.
But
all right.
But yeah, we teach them how to use a level, shovels, of course, hand tools, drills. We drill these forms in with a cordless drill.
So I want to end by talking about the difference that this is making on folks like Elizabeth and Jonathan, 4-H'ers that are out there in the community. Rocky, you've been doing this stuff, involving kids in this labor and in all these life skills. What difference? Can you share a short story of a difference that this is making on 4-H and FFA? What have you seen?
Kids aren't scared anymore. So
really?
I mean, they know that they can do things. They know that they're not afraid. They're not afraid to get dirty. They're not afraid to get their shoes dirty.
Okay.
And they're not afraid to go out on a limb and help somebody.
And you know what? That's what this is about. This is about community service to protect that water quality, pour that slab, ensure that that casing's safe, and involve extension and ag teachers all in the mix. Well worth our time for sure. Rocky, thanks so much for joining me this month. This has been such a great amount of time and such a great joy to be involved with this. Y'all know what to do. While you're online looking at ways that you can protect your water quality in your wells, hop on over to the Farm Monitor Facebook page. Check it out, see what you guys have got going on. Check out the Ranger Nick Facebook page, see what I've got going on in my world. And until next time, as we always say, for the Farm Monitor, I'm Ranger Nick, reminding you that enthusiasm is contagious. So pass it on. Y'all, thanks so much for watching. We'll see you back here again next month. See you.
Nick, thanks so much. Great job as always. Ray, we'll send it back to you and let you wrap things up from there.
All right, thank you very much, Kenny. And as always, thank you for checking out the show. But before we send you on your way, just a friendly reminder that for all the latest ag info regarding food, great recipes, and what's happening out on the farm, be sure you check out all of our social media platforms: Twitter, Facebook, Pinterest, Instagram, farm-monitor.com, you name it, we have got it. You, of course, will stay informed and you'll see what's up in the world of farming and with us here at the show. Take care, everybody. We'll see you next week right here on the Farm Monitor. Stay safe.